This will be the best collection of talent on any team that we've played thus far. Statistically, they're the number one defensive team in the country. And there's multiple reasons why they're the number one defense in the country. Their losses are because their point guard hasn't been playing. He's their second leading scorer, very mature player, transfer from Missouri. We expect that he'll be back and playing his normal minutes tomorrow. Really difficult to score against. Great size, great athleticism, very good one-on-one players offensively. Play very hard. You can tell they play for one another. Incredibly impressed by their team and how they're playing.
Buzz, how do you address last couple of games getting off to a slow start? And is there anything you do other than say, hey, try harder or whatever?
Yeah, we've talked about it. We talked about it after Missouri. That was the first time that it had happened to that degree. Talked about it again in the locker room after Arkansas. We were off on Sunday. Topic of conversation in early bird Monday morning. We changed some things to try to get reps at how to start yesterday in practice multiple times, a completely different practice itinerary. Our guys are aware of it. Is it the plays? Maybe. Is it the players? Maybe. Do we need to make changes? Possibly. Having said that, I do think that there's been a lot of games that hasn't been the case. And so, like everything else, it's the red pill. We're very transparent about it. Our guys are aware of it. We did a couple of things today, but we needed to get as many reps as possible the day before the game. So today's practice itinerary was a little more closer than what it typically is a day before. So haven't made any final decisions, not like it's a secret, but we'll have to address it again tomorrow at shoot around and maybe try a thing or two to see if that gives us any evidence.
And I wanted to ask you if, do y'all feel a need to consciously try to get Henry more involved after the last game, or do you just kind of see how the game goes? And
yeah, we don't run a play for Henry. He's not really that sort of player, regardless of which game, whether it would be non-conference or conference. His presence is his size, is his speed, is his athleticism. He's a high-level communicator. He brings great energy on a daily basis. But, run a play and we're throwing you the ball there, his game is kind of predicated off what our offense is and the pressure that he puts on the rim, whether he shoots it or whether someone else shoots it. And I think that's his improvement from the free throw line. His rate and his percentage has been a part of what's propelled him over the last 3.5, 4 weeks. He didn't play great at Arkansas. He didn't play terrible, but it's not because we were doing something different, so to say. And I think that's also part of, as the game shortens, as the weeks unfold, you're scouted too, right? And so I think a little bit of it has to give credit to Arkansas.
How do you find a guy like Tyrese, who was a little bit under the radar, it seemed like, when he was coming out of high school, but has made such a big impact?
What an incredible story. He lives maybe, 5 blocks from their campus. That area of Baton Rouge where he's from is called the South, and his parents are divorced. His dad is remarried, but all 3 adults, dad, mom, stepmom, are 100% in agreement with what is best for their son as a person, what is best for their son as a student, as a player. that he graduated. Obviously didn't play. He was I can't remember what the word is, Travis, in the ACC. Um, mm. He was an academic redshirt. I don't know if there's a different word that they used. And he graduated on time, and then obviously he's working on his grad degree here. And he took the bus from Baton Rouge to Blacksburg upon arrival. And there are certain requirements that you have to meet within the admissions part of being an academic redshirt in the ACC. And that was the year we were there. And phenomenal growth. Like, I could expand upon it a little more. That's probably not best for public consumption, but like he's not even the same person. And a lot of that credit has to go to Boots. But shortly under Boots would be Devin. You know, obviously Devin is from Louisiana, and that's what led Boots to Blacksburg. I don't know that he was recruited by another high major school. He was a late signee. There were academic things to work through. And for him to be, we're thankful that he's here and he's a good player and he's excited to go home. But you talk about a life change. And it was, you know, when he put his name in the portal, he had already graduated. And so when they came on a visit here in whatever that was in the summer, you know, his mom, his dad, stepmom, they all came. And, you know, I've never lived through one of those stories, you know, like what, kind of like on Twitter, where it started and where it is now, that kind of like picture, man, but it's his life. And they're such good people. And they were completely aware of how I coach and how I hold guys accountable. And from where he's from to Blacksburg, Virginia, as far as what Boots knew upon arrival, I mean, that's the other side of the world, you know. And the success he had in the ACC, the success he had academically, and just his growth as a person. It's one of the better stories of my career as an assistant or as a head coach, just all of it, because it's all such pure, built on the right things growth.
Well, that goes back to kind of what you talk about of the kind of character of the guys that you want more so, because his stats weren't unbelievable out of high school when he had academic interests.
Yeah, and you know, I remember we had one scholarship left, and we knew that if he did qualify to be an academic redshirt, that he wasn't going to play. And so now that becomes, you know, those are hard decisions. That was before the transfer portal, but those are still hard decisions because at that time, you're giving a scholarship for 5 years to play 4, and depending upon how your roster unfolds, you don't want the scholarship to be empty in regards to, well, we thought he was going to be good and it didn't work out. And so it becomes a decision of, is the kid going to be willing to invest? If he comes to summer school in June and he doesn't play until the following November, that's 18 months. And categorically speaking, all of these kids have never not played in a season. And that's a hard change. You're on the scout team all the time. And when we travel, you can't go. It's a hard adjustment. And you don't know anybody there except Devin that you trust upon arrival. And I still remember the conversation with Devin. Devin, if I were in your seat and you were in my seat, would you sign him? He said, yes. I said, okay, then we'll sign him. And obviously didn't know I was going to come here. Devin was going to come here. You know, you didn't know it was going to turn into all of this. But at that moment in time, you're making a decision. That was the year we went to the Sweet 16. And so we had built the program to a completely different place than what it was. And so now those decisions as far as upon arrival, nobody wants to come. And now you're giving a scholarship to someone that you're not for sure it's going to work academically or athletically. And so obviously it was the right decision, not only for Virginia Tech, but it was the right decision for Boots. And so, yeah, his character and his growth as a person, I mean, I do not have as close a relationship with Boots as I do Devin, but for whatever reason, I have always had a really good connection with Boots, even the year that he couldn't play. Hence the name. Like, I just love those, like, don't have a position, really not going to talk too much, but if you want to fight, he's in the fight. Can you dribble a little bit? Yeah. Can you shoot a little bit? Yeah. Can you guard anybody? Yeah. When the ball's in the air, are you talented enough and tough enough to make a play on the ball? Yes. Do you care who wins more than anything else? Yes. Okay, then I want you on the team. We'll figure out the other stuff. And, like, what he was as a player, Travis, day one, and what he is when he left Virginia Tech and what he is today. And Coach Young at Virginia Tech really did it. He's an elite level coach, but he puts all of his guys in great positions, and he for sure did that with Boots as well.
Got time for a couple more?
Coach, what does your team have to do well tomorrow night to be able to have a chance to walk out of there with a win?
The first thing I would say is we can't fuel their transition. You can't take selfish shots, and you can't have live ball turnovers. They're number one in the country in steal percentage. They're sixth in the country in forcing turnovers. So you can't take bad shots, and you can't give them the ball. That would be the first thing. And then the second thing, 1 through 5, they don't really play that way. They put 5 guys on the floor that are incredibly effective at getting to the middle of the floor and forcing your defense to play in rotation. And then I think the third thing that would be the priority is, can we keep them off the glass? Part of the reason why they're first in the country defensively is their defensive rebounding percentage is the best. And so we need to see if we can get extra possessions on the offensive glass, but on the flip side, on the other end, we can't give them extra shots on the glass.
Anything else for Coach? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. You bet.